Hi, this is Dino Cazares from Fear Factory, and you're listening to the Dan Chan Show on Hard Rock Hell Radio.
Hey Dino, how's things, man?
Everything's great. Just excited to get this record out there and for everybody to hear.
Well, I bet you are. I mean, before we get into the band, how are you personally and how has the pandemic been handled in California?
Well, there's a lot of people who are pretty upset about this lockdown, but I think it's necessary in some ways.
Yeah.
But it's slowly but surely getting back to normal. So things are opening up, and I believe next week the majority of things are going to be more open.
That's good.
Unfortunately, entertainment is not. A lot of the clubs are not going to be open yet, and there's still a lot of restrictions going on. But besides that, everything is cool.
Good.
You learning any Spanish yet?
Trying, mate. So hard. Us Brits.
It's not actually. It's Spanish is not that hard at all. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
But if you're going to try to speak like the Spaniards out there, they speak a little bit differently because it's a little bit of it's got a little bit of a lisp.
Yeah,
to their speech.
It's so fast. I can get a little bit out, but then when they start talking about it back at me, I'm lost. I've got no idea. I'm trying. We're having lessons.
All you gotta do is say pasito, like slow down, like slow.
Pasito. I like it. I like it.
That means like slow. Keep it slow. You know what I mean?
I appreciate the advice there, mate. I appreciate it. Now let's get into it. My God, mate, Fear Factory must have prematurely aged you. I don't know where to begin. I'm sure we'll get into it all. But firstly, congrats on the new album, Aggression Continuum. It's a great album. Now, this album has a story all of its own. It's written and recorded way back in 2017, but now only getting released 4 years later. Do you want me to go through the chronological order, or can you explain the reasons?
Well, obviously, a lot of people know already that we've had some legal issues regarding the trademark name Fear Factory. So we couldn't, because it was held up in court, we couldn't release a record under the name Fear Factory. So we pretty much wrote it out, and I was able to regain the rights. Fast forward to 2020, I was able to regain the rights and continue Fear Factory and get this record out to everybody. But yeah, we initially recorded it in 2017, got it done. But there was, after it's sitting there for 3.5 years, I felt that it needed some much improvements. And so I went back and I added a bunch of new things, new elements, new keyboards, got a live drummer to play on the record instead of programmed drums.
That's cool.
And just got Andy Sneap to mix it. And so it came out killer, and I can't wait.
I mean, how good is Andy Sneap? I used to know him when I was in Nottingham many years ago.
Nottingham. I love Nottingham. I miss Nottingham, actually.
Rock City.
Rock City. Had many, many great nights there.
I know. I think I've seen you at one.
But Andy Sneap is an A-list mixer, and, we used them once for Genexus. And that was the first time we ever used him.
Yeah.
And I just was really impressed by him and blown away. And I said, we need to use him on this record. And the beauty about it is, sure, everybody has their different elements or different things that sound similar or the same, right? But the cool thing about this record, that Andy Sneap mixed both albums, Genexus and this one, and they sound totally different.
Yeah, I agree. He's not a one-trick pony. He's Andy, But
exactly.
so what was it like getting the real drums on it? Because obviously, this album, does it feel old to you, or is it now refreshed?
I pretty much rejuvenated it, so it definitely does feel fresh to me. But yeah, I try to forget about what was in the past and try to, make much modern improvements that it needed it. Now, when I say modern improvements, I mean, we added a lot of more keyboard elements. And when Andy Sneap was mixing it, I really wanted him to bring those keyboards forward, in the mix. And they really stick out. And that definitely helps. And one of the other benefits, too, is that I was able to collaborate with 5 different keyboard players.
Yeah.
So there's different keyboardists all through the whole record. I think that also added a whole new element, some newer nuances to the record, that was missing. Definitely recording live drums, gave it a different feel.
Definitely.
Because, sure, I can use a drum program and I can make it sound as human as possible, but it's, each drummer has its own little,
nuance,
thing about them. Yeah, their own little thing about them. I don't want to use that word again, but they have their own little thing about them and that they bring, you know what I mean? So using our drummer who's been with us for 9.5 years, Mike Heller, he brought a whole new life to the song. and I think it definitely helped a lot with the dynamics of the record.
So over the last 4 years, were you constantly frustrated with it all? Could you see a good outcome?
Well, there was some bleak moments where I just didn't know. You can't always control what's going to happen in court. You can always try to, fight it as well as you can, but you just don't know what the outcome is going to be because ultimately the judge makes a decision, right?
Yeah.
So with luckily things panned out for me, and I was able to regain the rights and move forward.
It's like a Rocky story, really. You left the band split up. You left the band when it got back together. Now, you got back in the band. Was it 2009? And then all of a sudden you now own the band 100%.
Yeah, it's a very unique situation, very unique story, actually. Yeah, I was out of the band in 2002 because me and I don't even know really why I was out of the band, but I know that Bert had some issues with me, which I thought things were patched up, but they weren't. So the band restarted without me. It's kind of a weird situation.
That must be strange. How was that for you? How was seeing the band performing and that and hearing about it? It must have really pissed you off.
In the beginning, it did. I was, very, for the first few months, I was like, what am I going to do? Screw these guys. There was all kinds of things going through my head. But, luckily I was able to pull it together, and I actually freed up my time. It's very liberating because, Fear Factory had been taking up most of my career, my life, you know what I mean? And so it freed up my time to go work on other projects, and I was able to discover things about myself that I pushed myself to do and write other music, working with other bands, working with many different artists on other projects. Yeah. So I released 5 records within the time I was out of Fear Factory. It was about 7 years, roughly.
Yeah. And you said this album it's like a pissed off record. Can you explain this?
Well, look what we went through.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
We were in the middle of court. I was in the middle of a trial. So trying to write riffs and getting songs together was very difficult when you're going through an actual trial. You know what I mean? Yeah. Trying to defend yourself in court, Yeah. And, it's a very pissed off record. I mean, Bert had his obviously legal issues as well. And, and you got to also realize that in 2017, the country was in a different place. Yeah, we had different politicians running the country, and it was influencing the rest of the world. Yeah. And we saw that, and it's just, it was a pissed off era for everybody, not just us. I know. For the world.
Totally. And was it always going to be called Aggression Continuum from back in 2017, or did it have another name? It suits the mood.
Yeah, Burton gave it a different name. I didn't even know it was going to be called that. I was in the middle of a trial. I didn't at that time. I didn't really have a lot of control of what the outcome of the record was going to be, as far as like the artwork and credits and things like that. I had no idea, believe it or not. And he kind of leaked it out to the press. But I was like, hold on. So fast forward to 2020, I was able, when I regained the rights, I was like, that title that he came up with just wasn't fitting for the vibe of the record. Yeah. Because the record, like I said, it's a soft record. It's got a lot of anger in there, but it's got a lot of emotions all over the place.
It's a great album.
The contrast, the contrast between the heavy vocals and the melodic vocals definitely play a big part in how the record sounds. And adding all those keyboard elements too to add those different dynamics exactly, and highlighting certain parts really stick out. And so I just thought it wasn't fitting. The title wasn't fitting, so I said Aggression Continuum was definitely a much more fitting title. Definitely. Plus, it really goes along with the whole concept, the whole artwork of the album, and the vibe of the record. Does it sound aggressive to you?
Yeah, I think it's a great album. I really do. And I know the label wanted to keep Bert's vocals, but if it had been up to you, would you have expedited a replacement and got the vocals re-recorded?
That was my first initial reaction. Yes, was to replace his vocals and get a new singer, have him retrack everything, and move forward. Yeah, I mean, things probably would have been easier, maybe less dramatic, less drama. You know what I mean? But the record label ultimately wanted to keep him on the record. Yeah. They felt that this was Bert's swan song, as you would say. And I ultimately I agreed, and I said, okay, let's do it. And so that's what we did, and we just went and polished up this record.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, with that in mind, the fact that if you had expedited a new singer, you might have not have got the perfect person, because at the moment, you know, I want to ask how the process for a replacement is going. And do we say replacement or a new vocalist? It's a fine line. And I believe you're auditioning anyone across the board for vocalists. Everything's on the table, right?
Everything is on the table, and how do you define perfect? You know what I mean? Who's perfect? That's kind of a. I'm not sure if you're a perfect replacement would be, I guess, somebody who would sound like Burton, but that's not exactly what I want. And I don't think that's exactly what other singers might want. You know, you got to give them some of their own identity, right? I've been dealing with a lot of backlash because I've been saying is, you know, gender doesn't play a role in my decision, so it could be a female, because there are some females in the running that sound amazing.
Great, yeah.
And I think it's amazing, but there are a lot of, you know, I guess. Fans, or what would you want to call them? Fear Factory purists. They want that perfect replacement, a guy who does sound like Bert and blah 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 blah. But I don't know. I mean, for me, I feel like I need to move somewhere else.
I mean,
if I do get that singer that doesn't sound like Bert, it's not going to be necessarily the same, and I accept that. I'm actually for it. I actually want to take Fear Factory to somewhere new.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask you, isn't there any Fear Factory cover bands to get a singer from, a la Ripper Owens?
There are a few out there, but sure. You know, yeah, I need more than just talent. You know, there has to be some level of experience and chemistry. You know?
I think it'd be awesome to have just mix it up a bit. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, and I think that. The more drastic change would obviously be a female. She's not going to sound like Bert, of course not, right? But if I did get a male, it would be somebody who would be closer to Burton, and you got to find somebody who's going to be able to handle the criticism, the backlash, you know, because you're going to get compared left and right.
Of course.
And if you're one of those guys who just doesn't understand the media, especially in the UK,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, you're going to have to be able to take it.
So who's the decision maker on the new vocalist? Obviously, you own the band, but have you got anyone else to have a say and an opinion?
Yeah, I do. My management company, my management team. I'm very close to our tour manager, John Brennan, our management company, Scott Koenig for King Artist Management.
Yeah.
My producers, you know, my co-producers, Damien Renault. A lot of those people are helping me make that decision. That's because we're the ones who are going through the process of elimination, you know, or who we decide, you know, because there are a lot of video submissions that we've gone through, you know, and so you gotta like just try to pick the best. What I have done is I picked the best 4 people so far.
Do you feel like the best 4? Do you feel like Simon Cowell?
No, I'm not that much of a dick.
So with all this in mind, is the friendship between you and Bert completely dead now?
I guess for him, you know, I mean, I can only go by what he's released out in the media, and it wasn't very pretty.
Yeah, there's not going to be a Motley Crue situation going on then in a few years. Never say never.
I'm not even sure what that means. I'm not even sure what part of Motley Crue.
Well, like John Corabi coming in and going, and then Vince Neil coming back, or Tommy Lee going and coming back, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't see that. I don't see that in the future. No, I think that once I decide on who's going to sing in this band,
that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah. You got to move forward. You can't go back. And I really don't even honestly. I know that Bert, you know, has over the years has a lot of vocal issues on live, and I just don't think he can really do it anymore. So, you know, in that aspect, you know, there have been some fans who say, you know, they've never seen us live, but they enjoy the records, right?
Yeah. And
I couldn't survive just making records, making music. You know, you have to, a band like us, we have to go out there and we got to tour. That's where we make most of our income. So on the touring aspect, we're going to need somebody who's going to be able to hit those notes live and be able to do it without having issues. Exactly. You know what I mean? Sure, I agree. Every singer has issues and has their moments, but when you know that with somebody's vocal cords are damaged, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I need to go out there and I need to make, you know, a lot of fans don't understand that I need to go out there and I need to perform live, and we need to have somebody who can do that.
Get some youth in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody that I've picked so far have been in their 30s. So that's a good thing.
That's good. And do you feel any pressure on yourself to prove a point on all this, to keep the positive vibes of Fear Factory, more so than ever, though, surely?
Always feel pressure, of course, because you're going to have, with social media nowadays, people can put their opinions. Some of them are extremely harsh. Some of them are extremely appreciative for what you're doing. But ultimately, I try not to let that influence me too much.
Yeah. You can't, can you?
Yeah, well, because fans can kind of put you in a box, and I don't want to be in that box all the time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, and it's funny because one of the reasons why I even put live records on this is because the fans back in 2011 or 2012 we released a record called The Industrialist, and we had a drum program on it, and a lot of fans just cancel cultured us on that record.
God.
The record didn't do very well just because it had drum programming, which is really ironic because we're a band that uses modern technology to manipulate, these sounds and these records. You know what I mean?
Groundbreaking. I mean, this is
exactly. But like fans were like, it was just really brutal. So that was one of the reasons I even put live drums on this record.
Yeah.
But in the long run, ultimately, either way I go, it's still going to sound amazing.
Yeah, of course. Now, little did you know that in 1996 you were heavily influencing a nothing band from Nottingham, England called Subform, which I was the drummer of, right? I remember these guys I was auditioning for giving me Demanufacture and saying, this is it, this is what we need to sound like. It's groundbreaking and flawless. How important was that album for you as it was for me?
Very, very important. It was a defining moment in our career. It took us to a whole new level. We got to see the world. Soul of a New Machine, we definitely tapped into that, and we, our first record. We put 17 songs on our first record. That's a lot of songs, and it was like if we would have concentrated on the 10 best, it probably would have been a different album.
Yeah,
but you can't mention Demanufacture without mentioning Fear is the Mind Killer, because that was where we really were able to, we met up. I met up with Reese Fulber, saw him out, found him, talked to him. We've had many conversations. We did this remix record that really influenced Demanufacture. And so once we realized that our sound can work with all these electronic industrial elements in our music, a vision I already had in my head. I just needed a guy like Reese Fulber to really help put it together.
Yeah.
And once he did on that remix album, that's what influenced Demanufacture. Now, Demanufacture is one of those groundbreaking records that everything influenced us at that time, even just Los Angeles, going through from 1992 to the time we recorded the record and got it out. There was, fires, floods, earthquakes, riots. All that really helped shape that album, and that's the reason why you hear some of the anger in that record as well. And it's like, to me, it's like some of those elements and some of those feelings it's still there. When I came back into the band, doing Mechanized back in 2010, I was like, I'm bringing this intensity back. I'm gonna, and you can hear it on Mechanized. You know what I mean? And going forward, even up until now, it's still there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So all those different influences, whether it's movies, whether it's other music, or whether it's documentaries, or whether it's just our surroundings, all that plays a big part on when we make records.
Yeah. Now, with all that the industry throws at artists, how do you chill and relax away from the music, Dino?
How do I chill and relax away from music? Just hanging out with friends, having a cold beer. Nothing too special. I like hanging with my family, things like that. So I really put the guitar down.
Really,
To be honest with you, when I go to my family's house, I give them guitars, right? So then when I go there, there's a guitar there.
And having Mexican blood and Mexican being one of my favorite cuisines, what's your favorite traditional dish? Over here in Europe, I'm not sure we're getting the real deal. So talk me through it.
My favorite dish would have to be, it's called the carne asada plata, which is basically marinated steak plate. It's a plate of marinated steak with beans and rice.
Awesome. And
flour tortillas, of course, with the amazing salsa and jalapenos.
Nice. And that's obviously followed by a Don Julio 1942 tequila, right?
Well, I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh,
For
right.
sure. Don Julio tequila. It could be a margarita or just on the rocks. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It
Either
is
way, I would
smooth.
enjoy it. And of course, I love Mexican beer, Tecate, Modelo.
Modelo, yeah.
Corona. Corona would be obviously the go-to one because wherever I'm at in the world, they're going to have Corona.
Of course. You
know
see
what I mean?
Modelo. You see Modelo around there, don't you? Now more.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely gotten more and more over the years. But if
Yeah.
I'm in India, touring India, I can get a Corona, but I can't get a Modelo.
You can get Corona
or
anywhere
Tecate.
now, mate.
What's that?
You can get Corona anywhere now.
Yeah. It's been that way for a few years, and that's pretty much the easy go-to beer wherever you're at in the world. But obviously, when I'm home, I enjoy the other beers.
Yeah, exactly. Now, with the album delays and all the drama, are you keen to get the replacement in and record a new album to cleanse everything, like a 1-2 blow, like, we're back, with a new outfit?
Of course. I can't wait to prove myself once again that I can make this happen.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to move forward with a new singer because, it is kind of exciting. You get somebody new in the band, you connect, and then you're making some great music. I've done it many times before, and I'm excited to do it again.
How close are we to the new singer?
Well, we're very close, but of course, because of travel restrictions, some of the singers can't get here yet. So I'm going to be spending time with one this weekend, but other singers who are in other parts of the world, they can't get her yet. So we have to wait till pretty much till this country semi opens up.
Yeah.
Just to get them here, you know what I mean? It's actually not even our country; it's their country.
Yeah.
We can't get her yet. So,
that's interesting. That's a little bit of a clue there, Dino.
Well, there's people all over the world who auditioned, and some of them are amazing.
That's cool.
Whether it be from India or wherever you're at, Barcelona, Spain. You know what I mean? There's people who are amazing.
That's cool.
And yeah.
So obviously touring, once you've drilled down and got your new vocalist, obviously big decisions. When that's all sorted, are you going to do a big announcement and schedule the tours?
Oh, 100%. There's going to be a big announcement. This person is going to be put in the spotlight.
Yeah.
They're going to have to start doing press. The people are going to want to know all about the person and who it is. And I'm very excited for that.
Exciting time.
They're going to be. They're going to be a fish in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
All eyes on them.
Yeah.
I
don't envy that.
Yeah, exactly. So once that goes through, and we're going to be announcing dates, and we're going to be hopefully on the road next year if everything goes fine.
Cool.
I hope next year, Europe opens up and we can be out there too.
Definitely.
Well,
Dino, thanks so much for joining me on the show. I really appreciate it. Good luck with everything, and I'm looking forward to seeing you live again as soon as possible.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on the show, and go to fearfactory.com for everything.